the man who gave the "I Have a Dream" speech, the face of non-violent protest. But here's what most people don't know. The US government, specifically the FBI, saw him as a threat, and they spent years trying to destroy him. This isn't speculation. It's documented, and it's one of the darkest chapters in modern American history. In the 1960s, while Dr. King was leading marches and giving speeches, the FBI was secretly spying on him. They wiretapped his phones, bugged his hotel rooms, intercepted his mail. And behind all of it was one man, J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI. Hoover had been running the FBI since 1924. By the time King rose to prominence, Hoover saw him as a subversive, a man who was, in Hoover's words, the most dangerous Negro in America. Why? Because King was powerful, but not violent. Because he could move millions without firing a shot. And to Hoover, that made him unpredictable and dangerous. In 1963, right after the March on Washington, Hoover approved a full-blown surveillance operation on King. This was part of a larger FBI program called COINTELPRO, short for Counter-Intelligence Program. It was originally designed to target communists and radicals, but by the 60s, it was being used to monitor civil rights leaders, anti-war activists, and black organizers. Martin Luther King became target number one. The FBI bugged his phones, recorded his private conversations, and sent agents to follow him across the country. They weren't just watching, they were trying to discredit him. They spread rumors, leaked information to the press, and tried to divide him from his allies. But it didn't stop there. In 1964, the FBI sent Dr. King an anonymous letter. They didn't sign it, but it came with audio tapes recorded in King's hotel room. Private tapes that were never meant to be heard. The letter accused him of immoral behavior. It threatened to expose him. And then it said this: "You are done. There is only one thing left for you to do." You know what it is? Some believe it was a veiled suggestion that King should commit suicide. This letter was sent just days before Dr. King was to accept the Nobel Peace Prize. That's how far the FBI was willing to go. They weren't just trying to watch him. They were trying to destroy him, psychologically, politically, and personally. Dr. King, for the most part, didn't publicly respond to the FBI's harassment, but people close to him knew what was happening, and it wore on him, especially as the movement grew more radical and divided. By the late 60s, King had expanded his focus. He started speaking out against the Vietnam War. He launched the Poor People's Campaign, aimed at economic justice for all races, and the FBI kept watching. In one internal memo, they warned that King was becoming a kind of black messiah, someone who could unify different protest movements under one voice. The FBI was terrified of that idea, not because King was violent, but because he wasn't. When Dr. King was assassinated in Memphis on April 4, 1968, the FBI officially condemned the act. But behind the scenes, they had already spent years trying to undermine him. We don't have evidence the FBI was involved in his death, but we do know they worked relentlessly to weaken him while he was alive. So how do we know all of this? Because in the 1970s, a group of activists broke into an FBI field office in Pennsylvania. They stole thousands of files and exposed COINTELPRO to the public. Later, a congressional investigation confirmed it all. They found that the FBI had abused its power, violated civil liberties, and targeted American citizens based on their political beliefs, including Martin Luther King Jr. And here's where it gets even more uncomfortable. To this day, some of those files remain classified. The full extent of the FBI's surveillance of Dr. King is still hidden. Even the tapes the FBI recorded of him, many haven't been released. They're sealed at the National Archives until 2027. That's not a conspiracy. That's official government policy. So we still don't know everything they did or what they were trying to build a case for. But here's what we do know. Martin Luther King Jr. is celebrated today as a hero. He has a national holiday. His name is on schools, streets, and statues. But during his lifetime, the government treated him like an enemy. This is one of the most sobering truths about American history, that the man who preached non-violence, the man who won the Nobel Peace Prize, the man who stood for unity, was targeted, tracked, and harassed by the government that now honors him. And that story isn't just about the past. It raises real questions about how dissent is handled today. What does it say about power? About surveillance? About who gets to shape the narrative? Dr. King once said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." That may be true, but in his case, it also bent through years of wiretaps, blackmail, and a government that feared his voice. And maybe that's the point. They weren't afraid of Martin Luther King because he was violent. They were afraid of him because he wasn't. Because truth, when spoken clearly, is hard to silence.